You ever want to get into the mind of a designer? No, not really. Okay, well, hang out today. I got 5 tips on how I design small space outdoor living spaces. We're elevating the outdoor living. Welcome back to vlog number 6. I'm gonna call this Cargate because car's not back yet. I'm still stuck at the house. I've done everything from take my son swimming. I've been to the cheerleading events with my daughter. We And now this morning I'm also putting gas in the wife's car. So daddy's being abused because there's no car and I can't go anywhere. So I have not had my Starbucks fixed in a while, nor Dunkin' Donut fixed. I haven't been to my office spot to go hang out with the people at the Marriott. I haven't been able to shake hands or do anything. I've been stuck in the living room, in the kitchen, where everybody's gone doing their thing. So I guess I'm just gonna keep vlogging. Hey, hang out today. I'll take you guys on a journey on the 5 things that I look for when I design small space outdoor living designs. So tip number 1 is gaining the component list. The first process in any outdoor living design is going to meet the client. Whether it's plane, train, or automobile, the first thing that I set up to do is set up a consultation where I can actually go on site, meet my client, spend about an hour or 2 hours discussing their wants, their needs, gaining a component list of what we're going to work on in the area, then starting from there. And the component list consists of the things that they want to need, like an outdoor kitchen, a bar location, a fire feature, a pergola, things like this. We kind of take note and make lists of what we're going to put inside a design. Then I start working on the elements of style of what they're looking for. I want to know if they're modern, if they're contemporary, which they are 2 different things, believe it or not. I'll explain that in another video later. If they're traditional, if they're eclectic. I want to know these things so I can take note of them and add them into the design or the layout that we're coming up with for this outdoor living space. Tip number 2 is area survey. And I have to say, this is just as important as gaining the component list and talking to the client, is taking a thorough survey of the yard. So what I normally do is I'll go out, I'll set up my tripod, I'll take laser shots to get elevations of the yards, I'll take detailed measurements around the whole entire back of the house, even areas that are not going to be affected into the design, because they may have window elements, they may have all these features that's going to go into play with the design. Then I also look at areas like around the neighbor's house. How much space do I have to the easement line? How much space do I have to the neighbor's house? What views that we need to block or we need to not block? Do they want to see the neighbor's house? Do they don't want the neighbors to see them? What areas when they're sitting on the outdoor living space that they need to be protected upon to have those shade and things like that? Design tip number 3 is focal point. During the process of the component list questions, when I figure out do they want water feature, fire features, things like that, I try to put a nice focal point, especially on a small space. I always say one of my tips is small space really need to be designed more than a larger space because there are certain elements that really need to punch out. And so a lot of times I always try to put like a focal point. So whether it be a focal fire feature, focal water feature, or there's some things that I've done in the past where we've done some more artwork, sculptures, and things like that. So I'll try to line it up to even a kitchen window while husband or wife are washing dishes and doing things like that. They can see the water feature or see the fire feature in the evening. Or say if you're in the living room hanging out and chilling and you really quite just don't want to go outside, but you get a nice view of the water feature and or the artwork of the sculptures. Number 4. Dual spaces. This is actually something that I do a lot, even on larger scale designs and not just small space. I really like to have a lot of dual spaces in our designs. And a lot of times, the dual spaces that I use are either retaining walls around, like say, like a tree that we want to protect. I'll have a retaining wall around the tree. which can be a seating wall. You can add lights and things like that. Another dual space I like to use is a flower bed wall. So I have an area for raised planters. I like to separate my spaces with greens, with plants, trees, stuff like that. So if I have an area that I have an elevation change and I need a retaining wall, or I want to put a planter in that area, a lot of times I'll have a planter plus a seating. And seating is anywhere from 20 to 22 inches off the ground. Every once in a while you kind of creep up to like 2 feet just to hold the wall up, but it still can be dubbed as a seating area. I have one project where we had to have a catch basin over the swimming pool. There was a negative edge that flowed over. There was a catch basin. I put a fire pit over top of the catch basin just so we didn't see it. Plus, I didn't want kids falling in, and it created a dual space. That fire pit actually, when it's not lit, can actually act as a seating wall also. So one of my major tips that I do on small spaces mainly, I do on large spaces too, but I have dual features, dual spaces, things that can be used for double things during the process of the design. Number 5, overall functionality of the design. I have to say it's probably number 5. It's probably the most important one. But how is the space going to be used in the function and the functionality of the design? And what it is, especially being a small space, you have kind of like one area where you can have your main dining. And then if it lends itself to have like another section, you can either put a plant separation, retaining wall separation, a seat wall separation, or elevation separation with some steps down, and maybe have another area separated for like a fire feature, artwork, sculptures, things like that. But the functionality is one of the first things that I do in a design. I try to figure out where the sort of kitchen and the main dining area is going to be. I set that up sort of close to the house, sort of the easiest access to get out the door into that area. And then I start playing with different areas for functionality, seat walls, plantings, stuff like that, kind of separate areas, hidden areas. One of the things about outdoor living design that some people get and some people don't, that in the end it's still about people. So when you design these areas, you have your kitchen space, you have some extra seating where people can sit, then you have your fire feature, your swimming pool feature, these separate features that are all kind of throughout the area. They're either split up by pathways, walls, elevations, plantings, things like that. I still want to give everybody the ability to talk to each other in different zones. Even though they may be at a bar, they can still kind of say, hey, what's up, buddy? They're talking to people at the fire feature. Even when at their fire feature, they can probably yell over or say a couple words and not really be too intrusive to talk to somebody in a swimming pool. So they tend to be a little in close proximity with each other, especially in a small space design. I still try to keep that close proximity, even though I have some other stuff kind of out and about. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me on Cargate. I don't know. I'll get to take you guys out and about here pretty soon. I did talk to him. He should have the car ready today. It went in for a simple set of front brakes and back tires. Ended up being a new set of shocks across the whole thing, brakes across the whole thing, tires across the whole thing. He found more stuff than I thought was wrong with it. And it's a great guy, great mechanic. I trust him to death. He does all my work. I think I'll post his link and everything on this video so you guys can go check out Andy and his shop. Does a great job, very trustworthy. He does specialize in a lot of European cars too, so I really like that piece. So he knows exactly when the times of my car, when the times need to be fixed and what needs to be fixed at those certain times. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today. We're elevating the outdoor living.